There's a whole bunch of stuff to get into each and every single day, but certain days are more special than others. After all, LeBron James has now eclipsed 40,000 points. Everybody's talking about statues, even in L.A. That's a worthy discussion. How about who deserves a statue to begin with? How about in the world of boxing? We got somebody that seems so out of pocket right now. We don't know where the hell to go. And that's just a touch on the things that I want to get into. You feel me? Stephen A. Smith Show coming your way. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube. By the way, appreciate all the love and support from all of my followers and subscribers. We can continue to climb, and we've been doing it because we've now exceeded over 577,000 subscribers. Can't thank y'all enough. As I always tell y'all, keep the love coming, and I'm going to keep on coming. If you want to like and continue to follow the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on YouTube, just click the bell to get notified for all of our new content, and bam, you too will be a part of the SAS family. And while you're doing all of that, please don't forget to pick up a copy of my New York Times best-selling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes. It's now in paperback, y'all. Just go to straightshooterbook.com. That's straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. Since I am in my studio, anytime I'm here, I'm always taking your calls. So hit me up. Feel free. Come get some advice. Come get some knowledge. Come get your stuff off your mind. Vent. Do whatever you need to do. Just make it quick. Number to call up is 888-727-5303. That's 888-SAS-5303. So let's get into it right now, okay? LeBron James is in the midst of his 6th season with the Los Angeles Lakers. That run includes 3 playoff appearances with 2 conference finals and 1 championship. They won in a bubble in Orlando back in 2020 when COVID was going on. LeBron secured his 4th Finals MVP during that run. He also broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record and has been an all-star in each season as a Laker. But is all that enough to warrant a statue for King James outside of Crypto.com Arena in downtown Los Angeles, California? I have my thoughts, but before I give them to you, so does one Gilbert Arenas, who had this to say when asked on Nightcap with my man Shannon Sharp about LeBron James. Listen up.
Do you believe the Lakers will build a statue for LeBron?
If his career stopped right now, hell no. He don't have enough accolades in the Laker uniform.
He needs another title?
Yeah, the closest statue we have with that was Shaq. Shaq 8 years, was that 3 rings? You know, so it's gonna be hard to put him in there with 6 years, 8,000 points, 1 championship, 6 All-Stars. That's not good. That's not good enough for a statue in Los Angeles.
Right.
They can just put his shoes. They can just start with the shoes. they can just start with the bronze out there.
Recently, Kobe Bryant became the 7th Lakers legend commemorated with a statue in Star Plaza, joining Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Elgin Baylor, announcer Chick Hearn, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, and Jerry West. LeBron has very strong cases for statues in Cleveland and Miami, but Laker fans aren't convinced LeBron deserves a place among their legends. And I'm here to tell you, either argument can be made. Now, I'm of the mindset, no, hell no. Why? Because for me, he hasn't been a Laker long enough. He isn't a lifelong Laker. The likelihood is that when he goes into the Hall of Fame as a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, it will not be as a Laker. And when I think Lakers, I think Kareem, and I think Magic, and I think Kobe, and I think Shaq. That's how I think. Now, if you want to make an argument for LeBron James, you could sit up there and say Elgin Baylor, well, you know, I mean, he retired the year they won that title. You could say Jerry West went to the finals 9 times, only won 1 championship. LeBron just has as many championships in Los Angeles than the silhouette himself, Jerry West. You can make that argument, but let's call it what it is. When we think of Los Angeles, when we think of Tinseltown, when we think about the Los Angeles Lakers, we think about lifers. Guys that are associated and synonymous with being Lakers forever in basketball lore. That is not what you get when you think about LeBron James. And that is the reason that I would say no to LeBron James having a statue erected on his behalf in Star Plaza outside of the Crypto.com arena, a name, by the way, that I still can't stand. I miss it when it was called the Staples Center. I just do. The Crypto.com arena is just a turnoff. It's boring as hell. But that is just me. Moving on from that, though, there are a handful of stars around the NBA that are deserving of statues. So come with me right now. Let's take a look at who they are in the humble opinion of yours truly, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen's A-list. Stephen's A-list. This is my A-list of folks that deserve a statue right now. And I want to make sure, I'm going to be clear. I'm going to give you an honorable mention when all of this is said and done. But for right now, here we're going to go with it. At number 5, give it to me. Bam! Giannis Antetokounmpo. Do you even give a damn about Milwaukee if Giannis is not there? Have you even thought about Milwaukee if Giannis is not there? Brother walking around averaging 30, 10, and 5. He's a league MVP, defensive player of the year, NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, absolutely positively phenomenal. And oh, by the way, even though he had Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and others on the squad, everything comes and goes with Giannis. Okay? And that is why I put him at number 5 on the list. He ain't top 4, though. Give me top 4 right here. Please give it to me. Bam! Clay and Draymond. Ladies and gentlemen, before you sit up there and you look at that, as sacrilegious as you may look at it, let me remind you, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 titles in 6 years. 4 titles in a 6-year span. That is what those two brothers have helped pull off in the Bay Area. Initially at the Oracle and ultimately at Chase Center in San Francisco, California. The bottom line is Klay Thompson. If we're going to talk about Dennis Rodman, think about the elite defensive player that is Draymond Green. I'm not saying he was better than Dennis Rodman. I'm saying that his defense is obviously a linchpin for the Golden State Warriors. And Klay Thompson, don't get it twisted. If Steph Curry, the greatest shooter God ever created, wasn't his teammate, we'd be looking at Klay Thompson and we'd be talking about him more because he is, at least before this season, one of the top 5 shooters in the history of basketball. So let's not lose out on Klay and what Klay Thompson means to that franchise, okay? He ain't top 3, though. Let me give you top 3 right here. Give it to me right now, please. Bam. Bam! LeBron James in Miami. 4 straight trips to the NBA Finals, back-to-back titles, clearly the best player on the team that included D-Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, and others. And the bottom line is this. You go to South Beach and you do what LeBron James did. That was the prime of his career. He's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. He's one of the greatest players in NBA history. And Miami only had 1 title on his resume, delivered by Dwayne Wade in 2006 with Shaquille O'Neal as a sidekick at that particular juncture of his career, with Alonzo Mourning being the defensive whiz that he was. But it was about D-Wade. They were down 0-2, and D-Wade goes berserk and averages 37 over the final 4 games of that NBA Finals. Since that time, Miami didn't matter until LeBron James came along. And then they had 4 straight years, and people said they were as popular as the Beatles. Maybe they were the Beatles of basketball, rather. This is what they were saying about them, because LeBron James was there. Of course, you have to erect a statue, okay, in Miami for LeBron James. But they ain't top 2, though. Give me number 2, please, on the list. Woo! LeBron James in Cleveland. It's only 1 title, but ladies and gentlemen, do you know that the last time the city of Cleveland or that Northern Ohio area had a championship was when Jim Brown was running the football in 1965 for them? They went 52 years without capturing a championship until LeBron James delivered the goods. In any sport, that means baseball, that means football. It never happened. You know what the city of Cleveland was most popular for at one point? Don King, the boxing promoter. That's what it was, because that's where he's from. That's what we're talking about here. But LeBron James came along, he changed all of that. LeBron James deserves a statue in 2 cities. That is Cleveland and that is Miami. Yes, he does. Just not LA. You know who number 1 is, right? Give it to me right here, please. The one and only Steph Curry. The greatest shooter God has ever created. One of the top selling jerseys in the business. A role model personified, quintessential role model, leader, extraordinary shooter, the greatest ever. 4 championships, 6 years, NBA Finals MVP, 2-time league MVP, and never played anywhere because longevity matters. And when you're with that organization for as many years as he's been there, doing what he's done, with them not even thinking and dreaming of him ever wearing another uniform, of course you erect a statue for somebody like him. I just find it hard to believe you're going to do it for him without these 2 as well, when these 3 are attached to the hip. Honorable mention in all of this is Nikola Jokic, the reigning defending NBA champion, league MVP, NBA Finals MVP. I know all about Nikola Jokic. Let me tell you, as much as I love him, as much as I respect him, as much as I will openly acknowledge he belongs on this list, remember how they couldn't get over the hump because Jamal Murray went down those few years because of his nasty injury those couple of years? Denver couldn't do anything because Jokic didn't have him. When he or Jamal Murray are not on the court together, they're a 500 team. When they're on the court together, this season alone, they're like 35-11, somewhere around that area. This is what they do to each other. This is what they do for one another. Jamal Murray is that important to Jokic. Who did Giannis have? Yes, Middleton could play. Yes, Jrue Holiday could play. But who was the definitive person that you could rely upon on a night-in, night-out basis the way Jokic could rely on Jamal Murray? That's the difference. Not taking anything away from Jokic. I know how great he is. And by the way, he's been in the same franchise. And they should erect a statue for him, too. I'm just saying, when you think about this top 5 list, I'd put Giannis on it before him. And I got Clay and Draymond, who are 4-time champions. He's got 1. That's my list. This is my A-list. I hope you can respect it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to transition to the sport of boxing. Got to switch gears, because where WBC super lightweight champion Devin Haney will look to defend his title against Ryan Garcia on April 20th. But if you're checking social media and reading the blogs, there's growing concerns amongst fans about Garcia's mental health and well-being. When he joined this show, the Stephen A. Smith Show, on December 1st, he spoke a bit about his lack of trust in the people around him before his loss to Gervonta Davis last year. Check it out. And I'm saying, wait a minute, this cat is lightning quick. He's the shorter, stockier fighter. He fights naturally. He doesn't feel drained at that 135, 136 pound weight. Let the dude stalk you, counterpunch, use your quickness, your jab, your speed, and none of that seemed to be there that night. It was like you were coming to him and walking into ultimately getting caught by that liver shot that got you. Is my breakdown of that accurate in your estimation?
You know, I felt like, you know, with the mole in my camp, who can I trust? I mean, I didn't know who I could trust. There's only 3 people in the gym when certain things happen. And it was hard for me to trust my team. It was hard for me to, you know, trust anything at that point. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know who to listen to. But yeah, you're spot on that.
Ryan Garcia did seem to be in a better place mentally ahead of beating Oscar Duarte after our interview. But the last few days, he has been posting bizarre things on social media, you know? One of them even indicated his feigned death. Take a look at some of what this man has been putting on social media over the last 3 days. And this ain't even all of it, y'all. This ain't even all of it. Look at this. He's talking to the LAPD right there, trying to explain some things. We're talking about riding a horse. I don't know what that's about. I really don't know what that's about. Here, okay, he's talking about how he's going to have one of his boys knock that dude out and it'll be on the TV opener. And if it don't happen, I'm going to cancel the fight also. And if it's big, then I'll personally beat Haney Security's ass with my bare hands. TV opener for Garcia Haney. Now here he is with his ex-girlfriend talking about, we broke up a long time ago, but I'm coming back. I love you, with rings all over the place. I'm just looking at it. I need 100 billion. Maybe I'll stop laughing my, you know, no, you can't mute me. Have I proved I don't care about fame, no money, even those bags flying in? I'm going to set up live drug tests. I feel like crying because I'm giving everybody info they already know, but they refuse to believe. Do you want proof now? I'll get it ASAP. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm going to prove I'm not tripping. Here. What is this? This might be curtains. That's what he's saying. Very, very cryptic messages. Here's the reality. Ryan Garcia is a very, very young man. And he's got star power, y'all. I mean, he looks the part. He articulates himself very well up until recently. Gervonta Davis catching him and knocking him out with that body shot in the 7th round of their fight last April 22nd. I mean, obviously, it was a very, very devastating thing for him to go to because it was a fight he pushed for, it was a fight he wanted, had a weight clause in it. He's talking about dehydration and all of this other stuff. And nobody want to hear excuses. Nobody hear excuses. We didn't want to hear that no more than we wanted to hear Deontay Wilder complaining that he lost the second fight to Tyson Fury because of his costume. Nobody wants to hear that. But you know what else, too? As you look and you see the kind of things that are transpiring with Ryan Garcia, you get even more concerned when you see stuff like this.
Hey, guys, it's me, Ryan. I'm coming on here to explain what's going on. I'm not in possession of my phone. I can't get access to my Instagram. My cards are locked. And I'm just being real, taken advantage. I personally wanted just to send out a video to the people that love me and my fans and family that's concerned that I'm okay. I'm not dead. I believe in Jesus. All those are lies. And, they try to put me in jail. They're blocking my cards. I can't access my money. Nobody's hitting me back. I don't know what's going on, but just know I'm okay. Look.
He doesn't look okay. He doesn't sound okay. That was Ryan Garcia earlier today offering some explanation in the video, assuring the fans that he was doing all right. He doesn't look all right, doesn't sound all right. And here's where it's getting interesting, y'all. If you're Devin Haney, who he accused of being a drug dealer, if you're Devin Haney, why bother with this? You don't need this. You're the reigning lightweight, 140-pound champion. You're a five-time champion, for crying out loud. 5 weight classes. You don't need this. You're one of the best boxers on the planet. You're undefeated at 31-0 with 15 kids. You don't need this. You're giving Ryan Garcia a shot, and obviously that's a box off the shot, no question about it. It works for both parties, but that's assuming that Ryan Garcia is all right. Who's to say that Golden Boy Promotions, Oscar De La Hoya, and folks on Haney's side are not going to flat out cancel the fight? Because when people start bringing in mental health and mental stability and what have you, if you let the guy go into the ring and something happens to him, you're culpable for it. They might be thinking along those lines, and this money fight next month at Barclays Centers in Brooklyn might get canceled. I think it could be a tremendous fight, but I was assuming that Ryan Garcia is perfectly okay. But if you're not complaining about promoters or people within your own camp or the opposition itself. Now you got the LAPD that you're talking to. You got 666 on tweets. You're saying that you love Jesus because people wondering whether or not you got a relationship with the devil because of 666. I'm not making this up. This is the kind of stuff that's going on. We don't hear about this too often. We don't see stuff like this too much. But when we do, you got to wonder whether or not you have to do something about it, or do you stand pat and let the fight go on? You know who the person that's going to make that decision more than anybody? It's going to be Devin Haney. What if Devin Haney said, you know what? We don't need this. Let's cancel the fight and let's move on to somebody else. Where's Ryan Garcia going to go then? He's already complaining about they got his phone, they got his wallet. He don't have access to his money. He can't call folks. Somehow, some way he can still make a video, though. I don't know what the hell is going on with Ryan Garcia. I know I like him. I know I root for him to be successful. Not rooting against Haney, of course. But I do root for him to be successful. But I got to admit, I'm worried. All of us should be. Up next, got some NFL items to get into, particularly Russell Wilson, his next destination. I'm hearing some things. Let's talk about that and then some in a minute. You're watching the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Back with more in a minute. Okay, everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for Stephen A's Weekly Picks. Now look, I've teamed up with Prize Picks to bring you my favorite sports picks each and every single week. Not sure if y'all know this, but Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game where you select 2 or more players and predict if they will have more or less than their stat projections for the game. But the part that I really, really love, y'all, you can pick and choose from all the sports that you love to watch. Basketball, baseball, soccer, MMA, damn it, even cricket, okay? And if you go to prizepicks.com right now and use promo code SAS, my initials, you'll receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. You heard me. Right now, go to prizepicks.com, type in my initials SAS to get a first-time deposit match up to $100. Today, however, I will not be selecting a sport. I'm going with the glitz and glam of Hollywood, y'all. I did my research, seen all the movies, and I'm predicting the Oscars. Yes, me, Stephen A, at the Oscars. Technically speaking, anyway. Specifically, will Barbie win more or less than 3.5 Oscars? Barbie, Stephen A. Barbie, Stephen A. Look at all of this. Look at these nominations for Barbie. Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress, Best Costume Design, Best Supporting Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Production Design, Best Original Song. The 96th Academy Award. Guess what I'm gonna go with? I'm gonna go with more. That's what I'm gonna go with. Barbie will win more than 3.5 Oscars. They'll win 4 Oscars. Minimum 4 Oscars, okay? That's what I'm going with. I gave you the categories. We're going to go with more. They got 8 nominations now. 8 total. And I read them all to you, okay? Ryan Gosling for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, I'm sorry. America Ferrera, Best Supporting Actress, Adapted Screenplay, Costume Design, Production Design, Best Original Songs. I'm Just Ken by Ryan Gosling. And What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. Look at the names. Gosling, Eilish. Please, just 3.5? Nah, that's too little. They definitely getting more. They definitely getting more.
What Joker's doing in our league, not even athletic. He jumps probably this high, right? Like what he's doing in our league is just he's ripping the records apart. I think Pete, they showed a stat where he's had a triple-double on every team in the league.
Damn. For real? That's cold. That's cold.
Bro, right now Joker's more dominant than Wilt Chamberlain right now. Lord.
Damn.
Obviously, that was an engagement on hyperbole by the one and only Kevin Garnett. But give him credit where credit is due. He was very, very consistent. That was Kevin Garnett on his Ticket and the Truth podcast. And yes, you just heard him say that Nikola Jokic is more dominant than Wilt Chamberlain. Kevin Garnett knows better. But what he's doing is paying homage to today's generation of players because as he articulated on this very show over the Thanksgiving holidays, when he appeared on the Stephen A. Smith Show, the OGs got to know how to step aside and make room for cats on the come up that are taking it to another level. And when you look at Nikola Jokic, there is no denying his greatness right there. He's got an NBA title. He's got an NBA Finals MVP, just as many as Wilt Chamberlain. He's got 2 NBA MVPs. He's been an All-NBA player 5 times. He's been an All-Star 6 times, okay? We get all of that. But did you see the numbers on the left with Wilt Chamberlain? 2 NBA titles, 4 NBA MVPs, 10-time All-Star, 13 All-NBA rather, 13 All-Star, 13-time All-Star, 7 scoring titles, 11 rebounding titles, even 1 assist titles. Kevin Garnett himself. Let me just throw y'all some numbers just in case we understand we don't understand how great Wilt Chamberlain was. In Wilt Chamberlain's first 7 years in the NBA, he averaged 37.6, 38.4, 50.4, 44.8, 36.9, 34.7, and 38.9 points per game in the first 38 games he played with the San Francisco Warriors before departing for Philadelphia Penn that same 1964-1965 season. In the year 1961-62, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 and 25.7 rebounds. For his career, he's a 22.9 rebounds per game player. He's a career 54% shooter. One three-point shooting back then. And the parity that exists now certainly did not exist then. But Wilt Chamberlain, they had to change rules for this man because he was so big, so dominant, that it was unfair to the competition. You got to think about things like that when you're listening to a Kevin Garnett. It's not to take anything away from what he's saying. It's not to take anything away from what Jokic is doing. But when we talk about dominance, we're not talking about effective play, efficient play, stats, etc. We're talking about a Goliath that was so mammoth, so huge, so colossal, that when you had to defend against them, the first thing you did was pray. That's what we're talking about here. KG. Jokic is many things, and he is phenomenal and fabulous, but he ain't no Wilt Chamberlain. He ain't no Wilt Chamberlain. Switching gears to the National Football League, and more specifically, former Denver Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson. On Monday, the team announced they will release the 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback, opting to take an $85 million dead cap hit over the next 2 seasons. Wilson's release ends a disappointing run for both sides. The Broncos went 11-19, and Wilson starts over 2 years and failed to make the playoffs. Head coach Sean Payton actually benched him with 2 games remaining last year, signaling the beginning of the end of Wilson's time in Denver. But now he's free, as in Wilson, he's free to sign with any team he wants, knowing he'll get $39 million this year, regardless of what happens. So what's the best team for the former franchise quarterback? Before I even get into that, let me remind the world that Sean Payton is no angel. He could have handled things with Russell Wilson with more class. Didn't have to berate him on the sidelines. We don't see that happening too often to a quarterback. We get all of that. But Russell Wilson kind of brought it on himself. 4 parking spaces, a side office, his own staff, not communicating and ingratiating himself with other teammates. Sean Payton looked at it and was appalled by the perks and the level of latitude given to Russell Wilson. He was appalled by it. It went against everything that the NFL culture is supposed to be about. And he grew to dislike the man that is Russell Wilson along the way. I'm not saying he was right. I'm saying it warrants inquiry. Having said all of that, those teams who should not give a damn about what Sean Payton has to say because desperate times called for desperate measures, as far as I'm concerned, are several teams that stand out in my mind. One of them would be the Las Vegas Raiders. Antonio Pierce is there. He's no longer the interim. He's the head coach right now. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be gone as their quarterback. They need a quarterback, okay? They need a quarterback. We all know that. And because they're going to need a quarterback, you got to do something. You got Devontae Adams there, He needs somebody to throw him the football. So they need a quarterback. Russell Wilson doesn't turn the ball over, has never thrown more than 13 interceptions in the season. He only did that once. Every other season he's been in the National Football League, he's never eclipsed more than 11 interceptions in the season. So he protects the football. He doesn't beat himself too often, still has the ability to extend plays, does throw with a degree of accuracy. And I think taking all of those things into consideration, we got to look at him and say to ourselves, you know what? We got to think about this here. We got to think about it. You're the Las Vegas Raiders. You're the Atlanta Falcons. Certainly you should be doing it too. You're in the NFC South. Derek Carr is the competition. Possibly Baker Mayfield returning is your competition. Bryce Young is your competition. You get a decent quarterback with a pulse, you should be able to do some things in the NFC South. You're the Atlanta Falcons. With Bijan Robinson and the rest of the crew, why not? Another team to look at Another team to pay attention to is the Minnesota Vikings, because we don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to be back. And we obviously know they got Jefferson and they got a few other weapons that they want to get the football to, and you need somebody that's going to do it. Maybe a veteran like Russell Wilson will help them. The Washington Commanders is another team. Anything will do. Anything will do there. New ownership, moving in a different direction, no longer owned by Daniel Snyder. I don't think they're thinking about Sam Howell. Why not? And an experienced quarterback like Russell Wilson in the NFC East, with the Eagles, with the Cowboys, with the Giants, might not be bad. But for me, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've been on the record saying this, and I'll say it again. You are the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're in the same division as Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Deshaun Watson. In Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, respectively. You cannot show up and start the 2024 NFL season with Kenny Pickett as your quarterback, as a starter. That cannot happen. It damn sure ain't going to be Mitchell Trubisky. Mason Rudolph, let him go away in free agency or let him come back at a cheaper price. But it cannot be Kenny Pickett. You have to have somebody up in there. And I don't have a problem with Russell Wilson. Maybe it should be Justin Fields. Maybe if Kirk Cousins is completely healed from that Achilles tear that he suffered, maybe. But Russell Wilson is not a bad option. An experienced quarterback that doesn't turn the football over, that doesn't beat himself, that has weapons like Najee Harris and Warren out of the backfield, that got Pickens and Johnson at the wideout, that has Freiermuth at the tight end spot, that has the defense that it has, with the weapons that it has. The Pittsburgh Steelers could do some things. If I'm Russell Wilson, especially since I know I'm going to get at least $39 million next season, I think about going to Pittsburgh. I think about it. That's just me, y'all. That's just me. Coming up in the next segment of the Stephen A. Smith Show, I'm not surprised at all at where I'm going. Mr. Clay Travis evidently didn't agree with what I had to say about his position on the eradication of DEI, that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Of course, he saw what I had to say. He had his own remarks, and I can't wait to hear them. I got a lot to say about that. Stick around. That's up next, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Back with more in a minute. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Mr. Clay Travis, he has his Outkick show, where he's talking about a plethora of things, and obviously he made his position known about the University of Florida eradicating its entire DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion program, and firing all of its employees. It's something he celebrated. It's something he said he celebrated, said so unapologetically, and essentially verbalized his wish that DEI programs be completely eradicated throughout the United States of America. And when I said what I had to say the other day about why I disagreed with him and piggybacked off of that to bring on Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, who also emphatically disagreed with him, Mr. Clay Travis had some things to say. I saw some of it. I haven't seen all of it, so I don't want to comment in its entirety about everything that he had to say. But I will tell you that the first 25 to 30 minutes of his diatribe, or soliloquy, or monologue, whatever you want to call it, I will tell you that he did not address what I asked. And what I asked was not something that was challenging the validity of the existence of DEI in this day and age, not something that was challenging some flaws in DEI programs, wherever they may be. What I challenged Clay Travis and other voices against DEI about was what was the reason for DEI's existence to begin with, just like what was the reason for affirmative action's existence to begin with. White America had a head start. White America went about the business of demonizing, marginalizing, pigeonholing, and ultimately, in most cases, ostracizing a segment of this population that were primarily minorities. That was why those programs came into existence to begin with. We can get into everything from the Dixiecrats to the Democrats of today to the Republicans back in the day to who they are now. We can get into talking about what their positions were and why then compared to what it looks like now. But somewhere along the way, when you're bringing up these subjects, you got to bring history into context, particularly if you're a Clay Travis and you pride yourself on being an historian. If you're going to talk about being an historian, that means you know a thing or two about history. And if you know a thing or two about history, at least acknowledge what role history played in the existence of something you abhor. Because at least at that particular moment in time, you're telling me the truth about where your feelings emanate from, where it starts, where your disgust foments and elevates, where it ultimately finishes. I can live with that. You didn't do that. And here we are a couple of days later, and you still didn't do that, according to what I've listened to. Now, I haven't listened to everything, but I respect the opinions of Clay Travis, and I know how smart he is. He's not stupid. And a lot of his opinions are well thought of, which means when I say that you didn't answer that question, again, I'm going to go back and listen to the rest of your show and find out whether or not you truly did avoid that question that I asked your entire show. But assuming for the moment you did, let's be clear, it's intentional. Because as a lawyer by trade, by profession, as a journalist who worked in this business, as a noted self-proclaimed historian, if there's one thing I know you know how to do, is answer questions, because you damn sure know how to ask them. Which means if you didn't answer my question, it was on purpose. Again, I'm going to go back and see your entire show. I'm looking for my answers. I'm looking for my answers because this ain't the last time I'm going to speak on this issue. I'll be speaking on it again in the next couple of days, hopefully right to you. Clay Travis, remember that. Hope to see you soon. Before we get on out of here for the day, let's go to some tweets right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, because I love to go to some tweets. This is at Prize Picks, all right? My partners in crime right now. I love that. Stephen A. Smith, you have to choose one NBA player to be duplicated and play all 5 NBA positions on a team together. Which team of the same player is the most dominant? That's a tough question. I've never been asked something like that. You have to choose one NBA player to be duplicated and play all 5 NBA positions. I would tell you this. Why not? Why not LeBron James? He's improved his three-point shot. He's 6'9", 260. He can play all 5 positions, okay? He's powerful, he's strong, he's athletic. And you didn't limit me to age. So let's say I take LeBron James and shave off 6 or 7 years from his birth certificate and basically say, hey, he's younger. Why wouldn't I take 5 of those? Works for me. I would say Kevin Durant, but damn it, he's too skinny. You can take the ball in the post, abuse him a little bit. I don't know if you could do that. Not going to say Jokic either, because even though there's 5 of those and he's great and he's phenomenal, and we understand that, it's a lot to ask him to waddle up and down the floor 94 feet or chase guards around on the perimeter. It's a lot to ask. Not so the case with LeBron James. I'm going to go with LeBron James on this one. Next tweet, please give it to me right here. Oh, my Lord. At Nzambak. Where are we landing, Stephen A? Let's look at this right here. Salty Springs Retail Row. I forgot the name of this. What's the name of this show again? Fortnite. This is the video game Fortnite, right? I think so. Wailing Woods, Tomato Town. Oh, I remember something about this. I saw this just the other day. Which one? I'm going to go with Tilted Towers. You know why? It's right in the middle here, and it looks like that's where all the action is. You see how this looks right here? See all this green here? See all of this? You see Loot Lake right here in the blue, but damn it, that's a lake. You're looking at all of this stuff right here. When you see this right here, it looks like a palatial mansion in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by grass and all of this other stuff. I see some other spots here, Shifty Shafts, Greasy Grove, Snobby Shores, stuff like that. But this looks like where all the action is. Where the party's at, where the party's at. I'm going with Tilted Towers. That's what I'm going to do. Let's go to the next one, please, right here. At Anthony_Russo97. Obama, picture of Obama on the tweet. You and Obama in a one-on-one pickup game at 21. What's the final score? Well, that depends. If it's Stephen A. right now, I'm going to tell you that Obama's going to smoke me because I got bad knees. You understand? And I only play basketball like once every 2 or 3 years. But if you give me 2 weeks to warm up, actually, I don't need that long. Just make sure that my knees are healthy and give me a week. I'll take them out. I'll beat Obama, I would say 21-7. It would be a romp. I mean, I love the president. I voted for him twice. I love my brother, first family, Michelle Obama, the daughters. They're marvelous. Very proud of the first family and how they represented the United States of America and all of us. But, he could shoot, but he doesn't look like, he's accustomed to resistance. I get in his face, I play that left hand, I wouldn't let that shot off. He'd have to put the ball on the hole and go to the hole. Or put the ball on the ground, go to the hole. Nah, if my knees were healthy and I ain't have to worry about anything, just give me a few days to practice, I'd take him out. 21-7. By ones, 21-7. Time to get to the calls before I get on out of here. 888-SAS-5303. That's 888-727-5303. To the phones we go. Pete in Miami, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Pete? How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Stephen. Pleasure
you?
talking to you,
Thank
man.
you.
I just want to know, why isn't there no steam with Russell Wilson going to Miami? Because I keep hearing the whole notion of he's going to accept bare minimum.
There's no steam. There's no steam because the Miami Dolphins want to be protective of Tua Tagovailoa. They don't want to give the impression that they're giving up on him in any way or they're going to compromise his development and growth. They're trying to stake claim to the fact that they believe in him. And if you bring in Russell Wilson, what are you trying to say? When in doubt, we got to go a different route. That's what you're saying. And that's what you're worried about. I don't blame you for saying what you're saying, and I think you make a very valid point. I'm just giving you some insight into what their thinking probably is. All right?
Understood, Stephen. I appreciate that. Thank you for
Appreciate
that.
it, man.
Have a good one.
Thanks a lot, my man. Sam in Toronto, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Sam?
Hey, Mr. Smith. You being sort of a Philly guy for part of your career.
Sort of. I'm from New York, though, right? I'm from New York. I just worked in Philly for 17 years.
No, I know,
right?
but you spent some time in Philly.
17 years. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so I want to hear your opinion on why the city of Philadelphia and the NBA in general never really showed love to Joel Embiid like they did to Allen Iverson.
Okay, first of all, a couple of things. Number one, let's not act like they didn't give love to Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is an MVP. Joel Embiid, as a talent, is one of the greatest big men we've ever seen in the history of the game. If there is any truth or validity to a single point you just made, it's one thing and one thing only. His durability, he's always hurt. And so you're waiting for him to get hurt. He gets drafted number 3 overall back in 2014. He misses the first 2 years of his career because of that foot injury coming out of Kansas. That's why he went number 3 instead of number 1 overall. Then he comes into the league. He never played a full season. He's hurt every single year. His knees, his back, even a facial fracture, his foot, everything. And so what happens in the city of Philadelphia is waiting for him to get hurt. With Allen Iverson, what was he considered other than the answer? He was considered a warrior because he was a miniature dude that played in the land of giants and fearlessly was in attack mode, constantly going after cats all the damn time, because that's what the answer Allen Iverson was known to do. That is the reason when you consider Philadelphia, which prides itself in being a blue-collar town, which constantly views itself as the underdog and being underestimated, Rocky Balboa type stuff and that, Allen Iverson personifies that. They know Embiid is great, but his durability has been a question mark, so you lay around and wait for him to get hurt. You know if he's on the court what he can do, but you very rarely expect him to be on the court, and that's the problem. All right? That's the answer to your question. Appreciate the call. I got to get on out of here for the day, y'all. Thank y'all for sticking around and joining me right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. I'll be back in a couple of days. Remember, I will address more of what Clay Travis had to say, along with anybody else, particularly from the conservative side, who feels the way that he does. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. They are entitled to their feelings and opinions. I'm entitled to mine. And we'll express it. And you can disagree without being disagreeable. But some things still need to be said. And I'll be damned if I'm not going to say it. And you never know who I'll have to join me in saying it. So make sure you tune into the Stephen A. Smith Show today, tomorrow, and beyond, because I got a lot more coming your way. Until then, I'm signing off. Peace and love, everybody. Holla at you later.